I've learned a lot over the course of my career, just from, being in the weeds every day and recruiting,
Yep.
from reading different books and, working with, different coaches along the way for different things. And, which ultimately led me to you and the Relevant Recruiter program, because going back to look, it's just me.
Right.
And I have no interest really in hiring anybody. So how can I become more efficient? How can I further expand my reach for the benefit ultimately of my clients, to be able to bring them, solid candidates to the table? I'd probably been following you for maybe 6 months or so, never spoken before, just kind of saw your stuff online or whatever, and would see it pop up on LinkedIn from time to time. And, um, you begin to kind of buy in and believe and build a level of trust as much as you can, right, from an online presence.
Right.
So when you reached out to me, I took your call. I felt there was some level of trust there already, and the fact that you were able to, I think, offer something that other coaches that I've worked with, or other other recruiting coaches that I've worked with, weren't able to offer. Now, I've worked with probably one, maybe two, I think, over the course of my career that were specific to the recruiting profession. And I would pick up some nuggets here and there, from them, but nothing that was really like a game changer. And I felt like, okay, Donnie's not a recruiter. He didn't come up from the recruiting ranks, but he understands the business and he knows what it takes to really, I think, broaden somebody's presence online and really ultimately get eyeballs, in order to generate business or generate traction with new candidates. So that's and again, just how can I be more efficient? How can I do better for my clients without necessarily having to hire somebody? And that led me with you, as I saw some of your ideas and they started to make sense. I think there's two major wins that I got from from having worked with you. The first thing is automation, right?
Yep.
And I only have two hands, and and can only, and with me, you can only do so much. So again, going, how can I be more efficient, and learning, some of the different tools that are out there from an automation standpoint that are working on my behalf and ultimately on my client's behalf in the background, kind of not underneath the surface, if you will. While I'm still doing all my regular recruiting activities, it's almost like having an extra person, working for you. So to be able to use automation to, specifically to, to LinkedIn, to expand my audience and my connections. I grew from, I think when I first started with you, I had about 7,500 followers, and I've just like 200 short of doubling that here now after 6 or 7 months.
Wow.
So that's been great. And, as far as like building those connections and everything on LinkedIn, I kind of have the long approach, right? Of course, I'd love to be able to find somebody right now, but I'm going to be doing this for another, 15 years. So I'm just trying to build my network, knowing that, okay, if I can't necessarily do anything for this person right now or have an opportunity for them right now, who's to say 6 months down the road, 10 years down the road, I might not have something for them. So,
right.
So that was the kind of the first win, is the automation and understanding, kind of the best practice as far as that goes to build my network. And the other thing is something that I kind of already knew, but I really learned a lot more through you, and it started to make a lot of sense, after working with you. And that's really content, and developing content on a consistent basis on the proper platform. So, I would put a blog up every once in a while on my website. I have a monthly or bi-monthly email that I would send out, and that was great, just kind of like an e-newsletter. And I would put stuff on LinkedIn every once in a while. But what I learned from you is look, I've got 25 years of experience, so I have a lot of knowledge up here that can be of benefit to both candidates and clients. So why not put that out there? So the goal is ultimately, right, become a thought leader, and putting content out there on a regular basis. And I got a lot of stories to tell too. So it's whether it's advice or stories to tell, pitfalls that I've experienced, wins that we've experienced. It's about, at the end of the day, I think social media, and from a marketing standpoint, it's all about eyeballs and attention. So if you can deliver valuable content to your specific audience, it really allows you to better connect. As most people, I feel like, connect on LinkedIn and then they let it go.
Right.
So through, developing thoughtful content on a consistent basis, you begin almost like me seeing you, you build this level of trust. Maybe you never necessarily talk to that
Right.
person. So you start to build trust out there. And then, ultimately, hopefully you get some engagement on your posts and you start having, valuable conversations about different topics, whether it's, the pandemic and, working from home now and what the
Right.
new the new work environment looks like these days, to different projects that civil engineers are working on and different issues in their workplace and what they're experiencing. So, not only to have great conversations, but for me to share information and to gain knowledge from other folks and, in the civil engineering community across the country. So,
Yeah.
so I think, again, just the automation and, having all that stuff work on the background, and then, just valuable content and engaging with your audience and really becoming a thought leader in recruiting specific to the civil engineering profession. And
Right.
it's been a great experience. It's been interesting. It's, sometimes I think people are a little bit hesitant, and we've talked about this before and in the group and everything, to just kind of put stuff out there. And I think we are our own worst critics, and nobody is
Yep.
evaluating our content more than we are. Uh, and most people aren't even looking at it, 50% in detail as you are. So we're
Right.
our own worst critics. So it's, hey, you got good stuff, just put it out there. And then, as you practice and the more you do it, the more you understand better how to engage with your audience. You become a better writer or a better video producer if you're putting videos out there, whatever the case may be. So
Yep.
those are really the two, I think, main, big wins that I got out of your program. I love that you're real, you're honest, you hold people accountable. And that's, one kind of disadvantage of working on your own. I didn't mention that, but now you bring it up, it's, you're only accountable to yourself,
Right.
and you know, so it's not that hard. That's a challenge in and of itself. So I think, from taking your teachings and the content and asking us to, being able to deliver certain things in certain amount of time and really diving in deep and then holding us accountable, holding us to the fire. I think that's been great, as far as being efficient and getting things done and getting your program up and running sooner than later. And then, the opportunity to, you know, being that you do the two Facebook group meetings once a week, to have other folks, recruiters, like myself, many of whom are independent or maybe have just two or three people working for them, to be able to bounce different ideas off and share different ideas, what's working, what's not working, provide feedback, and just kind of feel like you're a part of something is is a wonderful experience, for me, and really getting things through. And because you would teach stuff, and then, we would try stuff, and then, other people would try different things as well, or maybe they tweak something and say, hey, look what I did here. And so just as far as gaining knowledge, because I've been doing this for so long, and sometimes you just kind of get in your own way and you
Right.
keep doing the same things over and over again, which is great, right? Because that's worked for me. But in
Right.
you know you got to keep progressing those still. So you use all I've learned as this good base. And I knew I had this feeling, I got to do more, I got to get out there more, and be able to deliver even better for my clients. So going through your program gave some wonderful ideas for me to be able to do that, especially as an independent, solo recruiter.
Yeah. What is, I know when you kind of sign up for a program, you kind of have this idea of what it's going to be going in.
I kind of got in not knowing a whole lot what I was getting into. It was something I needed to just, because you had tossed around the buzzwords of automation and content,
Right.
and it's like, okay, where's he going to go with this? But I don't know. I don't know if I was excited because I knew
Right.
the automation was the big thing for me. Like the content I knew in theory, and I knew I wasn't doing it consistently. But then when you're able to go through and explain everything, and the reasoning why it works and what you need to do to really make it work and be effective, was of great value. And I've seen the results, because of that. But I think I was, most excited about was learning about the automation and how just
Right.
to, again, expand your audience and get more eyeballs on you. And really, so either from a business development perspective or from the candidate perspective, I feel like it wasn't, I was a little bit hesitant because most of the content that you would put out there revolved around building your business as far as getting new clients and business development. And when I initially talked to you before, we signed up, I said, look, that's not my problem. I have an issue getting candidates. That's the hardest thing these days. And you had indicated you can take the kind of same approach, in gathering candidates and building connections with candidates. So that's what I was excited about. I had no idea how it was going to work. but it's a super efficient process. It's worked great. And yeah, it's paid off already, for sure. And it'll pay off
Awesome.
for many years to come.
What would you say to somebody, right now I know recruiters everybody's busy, right? It's almost hard not to be, but what would you say to somebody who's on the fence and why they should consider working with me right now, even though they are busy?
Well, just going back to what I said before, I think everybody's in the same boat. We're completely stretched thin, whether you are a corporate talent acquisition professional, they're getting hammered from all ends, from their internal clients, or whether you're an external recruiter like myself, a search consultant. Um, Look, the more help we can get, the better. And if you're like me and you choose to just be an independent solo recruiter and not have anybody working for you directly, then what's the next best thing is to make the best use of technology. We're in a world where technology is just like stupid smart, and this is the opportunity to take advantage of it, and to from the automation standpoint, and like I said, kind of being like being like a duck, calm on the surface, but pedaling like crazy underneath, right? We're where I'm on the surface and directly in front of clients, and all this stuff is kind of working underneath to try and deliver solid quality candidates to them. And so it's just an extra, it's almost like having another body, but it's
Right.
technology, and it's, so it's not as expensive, to do. So at the end of the day, we want to solve our clients' needs. The hiring managers are putting tremendous hours in because they're understaffed. Their staff is putting tremendous hours in, and then all hell kind of breaks loose. And there's no shortage of work for the civil engineering community. There's so much work out there. So my goal is to make my hiring managers happy, and to
Right.
alleviate some of their pain, and any extra help through technology that can bring that, I'm all for it.
Yep.
And anybody else should be too.
Yeah, absolutely.